I was personally running around listening to all these problems every day with inventory not delivered on time, inventory delivered to the wrong place, and now it works like clockwork because we have an absolutely dialed in system for managing it all. But because we invested in the system, it means that only one person is required to manage that entire thing.
Today, we are going to share 3 unbelievable tools that will solve your inventory problems forever. A 2-bin system before. Can you just explain and walk us through what that actually is?
2-bin system. You don't necessarily have to have a 2-bin system, but you must have some type of system for replenishing your stock. And we have found that this is the best way that works for us. This is what we call a 2-bin system. So we'll just hold it up in front of the camera so you can see it. So we've got a front bin and we've got a back bin with the same component in each. So when we finish all the components in the front bin, we then break into the back bin where there is a trigger point here which forces us to trigger and replenish the order. Mm-hmm. So the benefits of a 2-bin system is that you've got safety stock in the back bin to keep you going until the new delivery comes.
Nice.
So you never run out.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember the last time we've run out of something. And it's really unheard of because any factory, any organization that I go into to help them with lean, it's one of their biggest problems.
Yeah.
They find it so hard to manage their inventory.
Yeah. I'll give you a really simple example from a personal. So after Ryan teaching me about 2-bin systems, like I could apply this in loads of areas of my life. So if you open my bathroom cabinet, I have a 2-bin system for my toothpaste. So I've literally have toothpaste standing there. There's one in the front, there's one in the back. And whenever the toothpaste is empty, I take that tube, I take it downstairs, I leave it on the kitchen table, and that will be like, oh, we need toothpaste, we need to add that to the shopping list. Yeah. Okay, cool. So standardized location, 2-bin system, and that leads us quite nicely into our third and final tool that we want to share today, which is this thing called Kanban. And Kanban is this mysterious, lean, Japanese, mystical thing that's really hard to wrap your head around unless you have it explained simply to you. So, Ryan, really simply, what is a Kanban card and how does it work? And you've talked about a trigger point. How does that all come together?
Yep, so very, very basically and very simply, Kanban is a Japanese word for sign or signal. Mm-hmm. So basically, I'm holding it up here in front of the camera. This is a Kanban card. And this is basically a signal to tell us that we need to do something. So in this case, it's telling us that we need to replenish this particular product. So it's basically a signal or sign to tell you to act. So Kanban should always be placed in a way that's a pull system. So if we look at this this box in front of me here, I can't physically access these parts because the Kanban's in the way.
Right.
So I'm forced to pull the Kanban. Now I've got it in my hand and I'm like, okay, what do I do with this? So the first thing you do is drop it into a Kanban location point, and we have like 10 of them around the whole facility. And the inventory manager will do a run around the factory twice a day and collect the physical cards, take them back to the inventory office and order the cards. And it sounds very, back in time that we're still using paper Kanbans, but it really, really works. And even if you visit some of the best manufacturers in the world, like Toyota, they're still dealing with paper Kanbans. And it's a system that seems simple, but it absolutely works. And we've been using the Kanban system now for almost 9 years, and it's been brilliant for us.
It's class. I love how you have it set up where you can't access the new stock until you take the Kanban and go and put it where the Kanban needs to go.
Yes.
That's the ultimate way of, instead of just, I'll do it later, and then you don't do it later, and next thing you know, you're out of stock for that thing. Would not have been possible without the Kanban system you have in place. And you have just on even small parts, you're saving money and you're improving efficiency and all that sort of thing. It's unbelievable.
Yep. We have Kanban cards right down to the things like batteries. The AA batteries for the remote control for the TV in the conference room has a Kanban.
Wow.
Because if we run out of batteries, that disrupts our flow. Imagine being in the middle of a meeting and the remote control doesn't work. And then on the back of the remote control, there's a crumb trail to tell you exactly where to go and get it.
Class.
And sometimes when we talk about this type of stuff, people think we're crazy or it's, you're going to so much detail. But what we would say is we're here to serve the customer.
Right.
So the customer is at the end of all the processes that we're doing. So we can serve the customer much better if we have all the inventory in place and everything managed really well.
Sure. And what's crazier, having a Kanban card for batteries or the owner of the company running down to the shop and taking half an hour plus out of their day to go and get batteries for a remote control. Like,
Yep. And it happens all the time.
Unbelievable. Another question that kind of came into my head is, for things that are too big to fit inside a bin, so you mentioned a sheet of plywood, you're not going to put that in a bin. Yeah. So how do you use Kanban with like massive parts like that?
Yep, so we call it a 2-bin system, and it's not necessarily a physical bin. It is a bin in this case right in front of us because it's a small part, but as the parts get bigger, like sheets of plywood or really long lengths of steel, we have different versions of a 2-bin system. And in some points, it's not a 2-bin system, but as long as you have a trigger point. So that may mean that the Kanban is attached to the last 10 components, so we're forced to physically trigger the Kanban before we break into the safety stock. So yes, you're right, not everything fits in a physical bin, but it's that same thinking, that same concept. Everything has 2 locations and everything has a Kanban card.